another week. Jimmy,
Uh-huh.
will we show the boys and girls the prank you and George played on me this week? It wasn't very nice.
Wait a minute. What? What? Are you taking over the show? This is
Oh,
my
yeah.
show.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
out of here.
I think we've got a bit muddled up.
Hey, Johnny, get out of here. This is
I
mine.
think we got a bit muddled up there, didn't we?
I can't believe it. I've got an idea. Effie, let's bring Mummy some apples. Come on. Effie, let's put some potato in it. And she'll be like, that's nasty. That's not nice at all. Do you want to do it? Yeah, let's go. Hey, I'm gonna cut some potato. Let's go. Let's go see if Mummy notices the potato in it.
Have you brought me some apple? Oh, I'm so hungry. Oh, delicious. Thank you, Ivy. What's that? Potato!
Yeah.
That's disgusting. I can still taste the raw potato in my mouth. Yuck. Ugh. It really wasn't nice, George. Thanks for that. But, George, that actually reminds me a little bit about our story this week.
Oh, isn't that very well planned?
I know. But anyway, this morning, George, we are learning about a guy called Nehemiah.
Oh,
He worked for the king as a cupper.
what? What?
A cupper.
Did he look after the cups and the bears? I'm so confused.
No, George. His job was rather unusual, and it's a job that nobody would have nowadays. And it's a job that I definitely wouldn't want. A cupper's job was to taste the king's wine to check for poison
Oh,
before the king would take a drink.
wow. So he was literally risking his life every meal time?
Yeah, George, that's right. He actually was risking his life. Because just like I couldn't tell the difference between the apple and the potato, there is no way to tell if the wine had been poisoned unless he drank some.
Oh,
Scary.
that is scary.
I know. But now, boys and girls, we're going to head over to Amy as she's going to introduce the rest of the story and tell us a little bit more about Nehemiah.
I hope you're all doing well today. It's Amy here, and I'm just going to quickly introduce our story for today. So, for the past 2 weeks, we have been learning about a guy named Ezra, and we've been learning about how God has led his people back to Jerusalem. And our story today takes place in Jerusalem. But there's just one small problem. The city's walls are in absolute ruins. It's a bit like the wall in front of me today. It's not a very good wall. And the problem with that is, if a city didn't have any walls, it meant it could be attacked from any point. And the guy in today's story, called Nehemiah, he was really sad about this, and he wanted to do something about this. So he began to pray to God. So let's listen up to her story to hear what happens.
God's story, Nehemiah. So part of God's story is about a guy named Nehemiah, and it goes like this. Remember God's family? They were called the Israelites because they lived in, you guessed it, Israel. But some of them lived far away from their home, and one of those guys was Nehemiah. He lived in Persia and worked for the king. One day, his brother told him that a city in Israel called Jerusalem was suffering, and many people there weren't following God anymore, and their city wasn't in very good shape. Nehemiah cried, "God, you are wonderful, but your family's home is in trouble. Please help us. When I serve the king his wine today, make him pleased with me and have him do what I ask." Later, when Nehemiah served the king's wine, the king noticed that Nehemiah looked sad. So the king asked why. Nehemiah told him about Jerusalem and asked if he could go back to rebuild the wall. The king could have killed Nehemiah for asking to leave, but instead, he said go. He even helped. That's because God heard Nehemiah's prayer and answered it. Anyway, Nehemiah went to work rebuilding the wall, but little did he know he was going to need to ask for a lot more help from God. See, God and his family have always had enemies, and these enemies wanted to stop Nehemiah and the people helping him. First, they made fun of them. So Nehemiah prayed again. He said, "God, some people hate us. Please get rid of them," and went back to work. Now, God does hear and answer every prayer, but sometimes not in the way we expect or even in the way we want. And at first, it seemed like God wasn't answering this one at all, because when the enemy saw that Nehemiah was still building, they planned an attack. But Nehemiah trusted that God heard his prayer even if it didn't feel like it. And God did! He caused some people to overhear the enemy's plan and warn Nehemiah. Even though the enemies were still after him, Nehemiah planned a defense and told the others, "Don't be afraid of your enemies. Remember the Lord. He is great and powerful." And on they worked, building, building, building. The closer the wall got to being finished, the more Nehemiah's enemies realized they couldn't stop him by making fun of him or by attacking him. Time for something else. They tried everything. They sent messages to get Nehemiah to leave the wall and meet them. He wouldn't. They hoped Nehemiah's hands would get weak, but Nehemiah had asked God to make his hands stronger. They even paid a priest to ask Nehemiah to leave the wall and come to the temple. But Nehemiah trusted God more than anyone else, even the priest, and he refused to stop doing the job God had given him. Kids, are you willing to listen to God and obey him, no matter what? Well, finally, the wall was done. God's family got to go home again, and Nehemiah's enemies found that nothing stops God's plans. The Israelites celebrated and praised God, and as they praised, they realized how much their sins had hurt God, and they felt terrible. They told God they were sorry and thanked him for helping them. Then they made a brand new promise to follow him, and Jerusalem was once again a safe place where people honored God. And that's the story of Nehemiah. But just so you know, there's another story where God fixes something that's broken. See, one day, God would send a very special rescuer, not to save a wall, but to save the world. He made it possible for not just Israelites, but everyone in the whole world to confess their sin to God, thank him for his rescue, and follow him. And just like that old wall was made new back then, our old lives can be made new right now, because Jesus has rescued us. And that's a part of God's story.
Okay, so I've rebuilt my wall, so it's looking a lot better than it did at the start of today's story. And we've just been learning about how Nehemiah was able to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem through God's help. I'm sure it was looking a lot better than this does here. But there's just a couple of things that I want to take away from today's story. And it was how God answered Nehemiah's prayer, even when it didn't feel like he was hearing him. And how God answers our prayers as well, even if it's not the way we expect God to answer. And I want to ask you the same question this morning. Just maybe after this video, have a little think. What's one thing that you want to remember from today's story? Bye.
Wow! Nehemiah was so brave.
He was really brave.
He didn't let anyone stand in his way. Not even the enemies trying to stop him.
No, that's right.
No.
Because you see, George, God had a plan for Jerusalem to be restored and to be rebuilt, and no one was going to stop that plan. And George, can you believe that they actually rebuilt the city walls in just 52 days?
Wow, that's so fast.
No, that's even faster than you could build, George.
Ah, well.
Anyway, so guys, I have a challenge for you all this morning. Nehemiah and his men rebuilt the walls in just 52 days. So my challenge to you guys is to build a wall using Lego, Duplo or anything you have in just 52 seconds.
Oh,
So
that's
guys,
easy.
do a race with your family, set a timer for 52 seconds and race against your family and see who can build the biggest and the most extravagant wall. Take a look at ours. Everybody, let me see your towers. This is mine. George, there's no way you just built that there now.
Oh, I did. It's a wee pizza oven, look. See a wee chimney.
You were meant to be building a wall, George.
Oh, I was thinking of food. And I just made a pizza oven.
Very good. Ivy, let's see your wall.
Oh, yours is amazing.
I think mine is the most realistic wall.
Well,
So boys and girls, you do your challenge. Set a timer for 52 seconds and see who can build the best wall. That was definitely one you prepared earlier. That was a little bit of cheating.
no, it was not. It wasn't even a fair competition.
Why not?
I don't even have proper hands. Like, look. Oh,
Well, fair enough, George. But anyway, boys and girls, see who can build the best wall today.
yeah.
But now we're going to head over to Ellen's farm to see
Ooh.
today's memory verse.
Uh-huh.
Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is my strength. Nehemiah 8 verse 10. Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is my strength. Nehemiah 8 verse 10.
I bet you Ellen's dad wanted to be in front of the camera.
I bet you did. Maybe next time.
Oh, there's an idea. Watch out, Hammer.
But boys and girls, that's all for now. And we
Oh.
only have one more week of junior church before summer. And it's happening via Zoom next week.
Wow.
I know we love it when it happens over
I
Zoom.
love Zoom.
Next Sunday, not only do we have our Zoom, but we also have a special family church service. So our
Really?
I know it's going to be such a special day. So our Zoom is going to be a little bit shorter than usual, as we want to encourage you all to join in with church at 10:30 without being completely screened out, George. So Zoom is going to be happening next week at 9:45 for approximately 30 minutes, okay?
Wow.
So guys, I really want you to try and make that 9:45 next week Zoom, followed by our church service, which is going to be really, really great as well.
One more week. Ah, I can't wait for my holiday.
Your holiday.
I'm taking a 2-month sabbatical.
Are you heading to the driveway again in the caravan?
Yeah, for a whole 2 months.
Very good. So, boys and girls, George might be heading off on holidays, but do not fear because we have some very special things lined up for during the summer, and you will hear about some of those things next week. So, we have some really exciting things over the summer, so stay tuned for that, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.